Subscribe the channel and click the bell icon for more updates. Hello friends, welcome to Civil Tech Constructions.
Hello guys, today we are going to discuss about the cantilever analysis method. This is the second mostly used method in the approximate analysis method. Coming to this method, as we discussed in the previous video, portal frame method has some assumptions and limitations. In the same way, cantilever analysis method also have assumptions and limitations. We will look into that first. Coming to the assumptions, as same as portal frame method, cantilever frame method also have the same assumption like a point of counterflexure of each and every structured element like beam and column is assumed at the midpoint of the element. And coming to the second assumption, axial stresses in the columns is directly proportional to the horizontal distance between the centroidal axis to the particular structural element. That is the second assumption. Coming to the limitations, cantilever analysis method also have to measure limitations like portal analysis method. So in this method, we seen that in the portal analysis method is applicable for the shallow structures, not for the tall buildings. Here it is the reverse. Cantilever analysis method is mostly applicable for the tall and narrow buildings. And second assumption, if the sectional area of the columns is different from one story to another story, this cantilever analysis method is not applicable. Like here you can see that this is the story 1 and this is the story 2. Here column having a large cross section area in the story 1 and lesser cross section area in the story 2. In this type of case, cantilever analysis method is not applicable. So according to this assumption and limitations, we will look into the problem and solution. I'm considering the same problem which is dealt with the portal analysis method, which is a portal frame you can observe in the top right side. So that is the same problem, having a 4, 5 and 4 meters as the respective bay lengths, and 4 meter is the story height. We are going to solve this frame in cantilever analysis method. So we have basically 5 steps of procedure to solve this portal frame in cantilever method also. Coming to the step 1. Yeah, coming to the step 1, we have to calculate the center of gravity of the group of the columns, means position of the centroidal axis. Here I am assuming that xx is the centroidal axis of the group of the columns in the frame. So I'm assuming this at the x dash distance. I don't know the value of horizontal distance from the uh, each and every element to the centroidal axis. So that's why I'm considering x dash is the horizontal distance from the column 1, and you can divide that. X1 is the distance from column 1, x2 is the distance from column 2, and x3 is from column 3, and x4 is from column 4. A is the column 1, column 2, column 3 and column 4. Here assume the centroidal axis and the horizontal distance of the centroidal axis from each and every column in the different base. So from here we can calculate the x dash value. We know as a reference to calculate the distance of centroidal axis, as a reference I am considering the centroidal axis at the column AEI position, means this position. So we know that formula: x1 a1, x2 a2, x3 a3, x4 a4 divided by total area a1 plus a2 plus a3 plus a4. So we are taking a reference of first column. So distance of first column is 0 and a1. Here what is the area of the cross section we have to consider. Coming to this method, we will consider the each and every column area as unity. So here we have two columns. So value will be 2. The unit area for this column and unit area for above column. So unit area we are considering in this method. So x2 into 2, x3 into 2 plus x4 into 2. overall divided by 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, 8. We will get the value of x bar here. So we know the value of x1, x2, x3 also. This is the 0, and coming to the x2, this is the distance between column, that is 4 meter. So 0 plus x2 is the distance between second column to the reference line, means this base space 4 meters. 4 into 2, 8, plus x3 is the distance, horizontal distance between third column to the reference line, which is nothing but 4 plus 5, 9, plus x4 is the horizontal distance between reference line and the fourth column, which is nothing but 9 plus 4, 13, whole divided by 8, which is nothing but 6.5 meters. So we calculated that x bar equal to 6.5 meter, means centroidal axis is at 6.5 meter distance from the column 1. So that is the point here, and we have to, in the same way, we have to calculate the all values. X1 is nothing but x dash 6.5 meter, and coming to x2, we know that x2 is the distance between second column and the centroidal axis. How to calculate this? Centroidal axis is 6.5 meter divided by subtracted this base space, which is nothing but 2.5 meter. So x3 equal to, this is the distance between third column and the centroidal axis. So total base spans is 4 plus 5, 9 meter, minus centroidal distance 6.5 is the 2.5 meters. x4 equal to, this is the distance between centroidal axis and the fourth column. Total bay distance is 13 minus 6.5, which is nothing but 6.5 meters. So in this way we calculated all the horizontal distance between the each and every column to the centroidal axis. We are going to calculate the axial loads in the each and every column in step 2. So let's look into this. Step 2, axial loads. Here I am considering that this is the centroidal axis, as we calculated the distances of centroidal axis in the step 1, and I am considering the horizontal forces V1, V2, V3, V4 in the bottom story, and coming to the top story, V1 dash, V2 dash, V3 dash, V4 dash. Means here you observe one thing, left side of the columns of the centroidal axis I consider the downward axial force, and right side of the columns of the centroidal axis I am considering the upward axial force. So to balance the section, first we have to calculate the axial forces in the bottom story. We know that from here axial force is directly proportional to the horizontal distance from the centroidal axis. So V1 by x1 equal to V2 by x2, V3 by x3 equal to V4 by x4. This is the proportionality condition. So I am converting all the terms into single term, which is nothing but V1. So here V2 equal to x2 by x1 into V1, and V3 equal to x3 by x1 into V1, V4 equal to x4 by x1 into V1. So all terms converted into V1. If we calculate the V1, we will get V2, V3, V4 values also. So calculate the V1 value. I am considering moment equation. Moment at column AE is equal to 0. Equilibrium equation, which is nothing, moment at this point. All from this assumption, moment we have to calculate at the center of the column. So this is the point. Here we have to calculate the moments. Here 100 kilonewtons acting at this point in the clockwise direction. Here I am considering clockwise direction is positive. So 100 into distance. What is the span distance? 4 meters. So half of the span distance 2 meter. And here 50 kilonewtons also acting in clockwise direction. Plus 50 into what is the span? This is the 4 meter span plus half of the span 2 meters, 6 meters. And here V1 will act 0 distance, so V1 force will be 0. and V2 will act on this, means V2 will act on this. V2 into what is the distance? This is also clockwise force. So what is the distance? Span distance 4 meters. In this way we have to calculate all the forces and distances here. So V3. So coming to V3, V3 is anti-clockwise direction. So I am considering minus V3 into 9 minus V4 into, this is also giving anti-clockwise moment. So V4 into 13 equal to 0. So after solving this equation, we know the V2, V3, V4 values in terms of V1, V1, V1. We know the X1, X2, X3, X4 values from the step 1. So after converting all these values, we will enter V2, V3 values in terms of V1. So we will get that 500 minus 14.9 V1 equal to 0. So here V1 equal to 33.5 kilonewtons downward. This is the force. So from here we know that V2, V3, V4 in terms of V1, we will write the all those values. V2 equal to 12.89 kilonewtons downward. V3 equal to 12.89 kilonewton upward. We know that right side of the centroidal axis we considered upward forces. V4 equal to 33.5 kilonewtons upward. So we got the axial forces values V1, V2, V3, V4 in the bottom story. In the same way, in the step 3 we have to calculate the axial forces in the story 1, above story. So we will calculate that also. In the same way as we calculated in the bottom story, we have to calculate in the top story. So we will know that V1 dash by x1 equal to V2 dash by x2 equal to V3 dash by V4 dash by x4. From here V2 dash equal to x2 by x1 into V1 dash, V3 dash equal to x3 by x1 into V1 dash, V4 dash equal to x4 by x1 into V1 dash. So converted into all V1 dash terminology. Here we will consider moments at EI is equal to 0. EI means this column in the top story. So in the same way, we know that here only 50 kilonewtons is acting. Same clockwise is positive. 50 into 2 meter. 2 is nothing but half of center. We are calculating at the center as per assumption 1. So span by 2, which is nothing but 4 by 2, 2. And this moment is positive. And coming to this, V2 is acting. This is also positive. V2 dash into distance 4 meters. Minus V3 is creating anti-clockwise moment, that's why negative. V3 dash into 9 minus V4 also creating anti-clockwise moment. V4 dash into 13 equal to 0. In the same way, we know the x1, x2, x3, x4 values from the step 1. We will calculate this term and convert these terms into V1 dash terms. We will include V2, V3, V4 dash values from here, and we will get that V1 dash equal to 12.51 kilonewton downward, V2 dash equal to 4.82 kilonewton downward, V3 dash equal to 4.82 kilonewton upward, V4 dash equal to 12.51 kilonewton upward. In the step 2 and step 3, we have to check one thing. Here our calculation is correct or not. Means you have to check in this way. Upward force, sum of the upward forces is equal to sum of the downward forces. You can take the check like this. We know that V1 dash, V2 dash are the downward forces. So 12.51 plus 4.82 is equal to 4.82 plus 12.51. These are the upward forces. These are obviously equal. So our check is correct and our calculation is correct. You have to apply this check in the step 2 also. You will get the same result. Or upward sum of the upward forces minus sum of the downward forces equal to 0. means we will consider upward force is positive, downward force is negative. That's why minus sign will come. Sum of the all forces will be 0. This is a same check. Upward sum of the upward force is equal to sum of the downward forces, or sum of the all forces. One direction is positive, let's say upward direction positive, downward direction negative. Sum of the forces should be 0. That is the check here. And in the step 4, we have to calculate the shear at the ends of the beams. So we will calculate the shear at the ends of the beams in the step 4. Here I am considering the E, end of the beam EF. So here I am considering that with the I am calculating the shear in the at the end of in the beams with the help of the axial loads in the columns. I am considering that at the joint E, the forces which are coming towards the joint is positive and going away from the joint is negative. Here we can observe that at the junction E, we will see that V1 dash is positive. Why? Because it is coming towards the junction E, and minus V1. Why? Because V1 is going away from the point E. So we know the V1 and V1 dash values here. We can find that V1 dash is nothing but 12.51 minus 33.5, which is nothing but minus 21 kilonewtons is the shear here. In the same way, I am calculating the F. In this beam, the shear at the end of the beam EF is carried to the joint F. So minus 21 minus V2 plus V2 dash. Why? Because V2 is going away from the junction, V2 dash is coming toward the junction F. So here V2 dash minus 21 minus V2 minus plus V2 dash. After calculating this value, we will get minus 29.07 kilonewtons. And next I'm considering the junction EFG. G junction I'm considering. This 29 is going to act on the other end also. So minus 29.07 here plus V3. Why? Because V3 is the upward force which is coming towards the junction G, minus V3 dash. Here we will get the value of minus 21 kilonewtons. And considering the junction H, this minus 21 plus V4 minus V4 dash, we will get 0 kilonewtons at the end of the beam H actually. So in the same way, we will calculate the shear forces in the top story beams also. So now I'm considering the beam IJ. So I'm considering the junction I. Here you can see that only V dash is going downward. So minus V1 dash will be the value, which is nothing but minus 12.51 kilonewtons. And in the same way, coming to the junction J, this force will act on this end also. And we will consider this, and minus V2 dash, which is nothing but V2 is going away from the junction. We will get the value of 17.33 kilonewtons. And at the junction K, you will consider this 17.33 will act at this junction also, and plus V3 dash coming towards the junction K. So we will get minus 12.51 kilonewtons again. And at the junction L, this minus 12.51 will act at this junction also, and plus V4 dash. V4 dash is also 12 kilonewton. We know this value. So this will become 0 kilonewtons. In this way, we are calculated the shear forces in the all the beams in the story 1 and story 2. In the next step 5, we are going to calculate the bending moments in the beams. So we will see the bending moment calculation in the next step. Step 5. So we know that we get the all the shear values, and from the assumption then we are going to calculate the bending moment at the midpoints of the beams according to the assumption 1. So we know the shear values. First we will take the beam EF. EF means we know the value shear is in E is 21 into span, which is nothing but we know that this is the 4 meter span, 5 meter and 4 meter, and height also, story height also 4 meters. This is the problem we took. So here we know the story height, so we will get the value of 42 kilonewton meter. In the same way, we will take the beam FG. We know the value of minus 29.07 into span by 2. Span is 5 meters. We will get the value of minus 72.675 kilonewton meter. In the same way, FG GH beam we will consider. In the G, we know the value of 21 again. Minus 21 into span is also 4 meters. We will get the 42 kilonewton meter. In the same way, we will take the story 1, and I am considering beam IJ. IJ is nothing but, we know the value of shear minus 12.51 into story height by 2. We will get the value of 25 kilonewton meter. And JK beam. So here value is 17.33 minus 17.33 into 2.5 5 by 5 divided by 2 span value, which is nothing but 2.5. We will get the value of minus 43.33 kilonewton meter. In the last beam of the frame, which is nothing but KL, we know the value of minus 12.51 again into span by 2, 4 meters by 2 divided by 2 meters. We will get minus 25 kilonewton meter. In this way, by using 5 steps, we are calculated the axial forces, shear forces and bending moments in the given frame. So now we we got the all analysis results from the cantilever analysis method, and then we will compare this cantilever analysis method with the portal frame method, and we will see the comparison results, which one is giving higher values and which one is giving lesser values, or both are giving equal values or not. So we will compare the two analysis approximate analysis methods. Now we are going to compare the analysis results of portal frame method and cantilever frame method. So here you can see that first we will go with the axial forces in different columns. Portal frame method giving these values like 8.33, 41, 28 and 28 kilonewtons respectively, and cantilever method giving little high values. When you compare, except this condition, except shear axial force in this column, all values are high in the cantilever method. So comparatively, cantilever method giving little high values when compared to portal frame method in axial forces. We will conclude like this. In the same way, if you compare the shear force values in both methods, you will get the values like this in the different types of beams in story 1, story 2. And in the shear force values also, we will take all the values from the cantilever method are high. So cantilever method giving high shear force values when compared to the portal frame method. And next we will see the bending moments in the different beams. If you compare the bending moment values, you will get these results in the different beams. Here also you can observe that portal frame method in the story 1 giving in the range of 16 kilonewton meter, but cantilever meter giving 25 to 43 kilonewton meter. And here you can see in the bottom story bending moments are 66 kilonewton meter in the range. Here you will get the 42 and 72 kilonewton in the range. So here, from here we can observe that portal frame method is distributing the bending moments uniformly to the all the beams in the stories. These three values in the top story means these three bending moments are distributed equally. Bottom story also same distributed, but here we will getting different values. These values are also somewhere little in the top story all values are high. These two values are low in the cantilever method. This is the high. So we will get the mixed results here, but on an average we will if we compare the both, cantilever method giving higher bending moment values in the overall structure when compared to the portal frame method. So we will compare, we compared all the axial force, shear force and bending moments in the portal frame. So final conclusion is that cantilever method is giving little high values than portal frame method.